Good afternoon, everyone. This is Robin Elliott from Triple Ace Games, and we're back live this Saturday playing The Sky is No Limit, which is our Leagues of Adventure game. And I'm going to hand over to Eli, who's going to give us a quick rundown of the last session's events. So over to you, Eli.
All right, so we're going to do a little bit of highlights this week instead of a full recap, but the salient points on our previous session were that Lawrence Garibaldi in the hospital hears confirmation that the Royal Geographic Society airship has made landfall or has been sighted, and so he, along with Edmund Burke, break Garibaldi out of the hospital, and they start making their way across the jungle to reach the Epiphany. Meanwhile, at the ruins of the Epiphany, Oscar Winegold has been hard at work completing the skiffs, which he designed out of the lifeboats of the Epiphany and treated them with the anti-gravity paint to allow us to make our journey downriver as fast as possible. But our water supply had been poisoned by the reptile people, and so Oscar also began work on a water purifier system, some sort of filtration system, to make the available water drinkable. And in order to give him the time to create this filtration system, Tanveer Singh and George Mallory went into the jungle looking for alternate sources of water, like a spring or something. And in the process of doing that, when we found a spring, we were ambushed by a whole lot of the reptile men. Apparently, we had stumbled upon their water source. But before they could kill us, the Royal Geographic airship appeared over our heads. A contingent of troops rappelled down ropes led by a one-eyed man, and they proceeded to kill the reptile men and take us, threatened to capture us. Tanveer and George tried to make a run for it, but the one-eyed man pulled out a lightning gun and struck us down. We are unconscious, I believe, but I think that's about where we left it. So,
right on. That is where we left it, except, of course, for the sudden awakening of
Sinjan Smythe, yes,
back in Berlin, who had the sudden sense that one should beware the one-eyed man. Too late and too far away to be of any help to George Mallory and his best friend, Tanveer Singh. All right. So as we begin, we will begin in the jungle trek. Lawrence Garibaldi, handful of now considered to be, absent without leave soldiers who have become derelict in their duty. They've deserted their posts, and they're serving as your guides and protection with Edmund Burke and his Batman, and Jean-Claude and all of his kitchen staff, who are bearing culinary treasures, the likes that the world has never seen. But the heat, it is destroying everything. So, Lawrence Garibaldi, are you physically ably striding through the jungle, hacking and slashing your way through the vines, or are you allowing yourself to be carried so that you can continue to convalesce?
What? I'm hacking and slashing my way through the vines.
2 style points for you, sir, as all of your healing comes to a halt.
Excellent, excellent.
What is your status, by the way?
My status is, my status is a negative, 4 lethal. So I have one actual wound. However, I did get the Die Hard count because I figured that, listen, this guy's had practice almost dying. He's getting really good at this.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
only actually really dies at -7. But yeah, no, it's
Well,
I'm
let's
okay.
look at it as the diehard trait was revealed. He had never been
Revealed,
so
yeah.
close to death before. So
And yet he
thought,
still didn't die. Yeah.
I think he kind of thrives on it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right.
So this is great. I am
Now,
hacking and
Edmund
slashing my way through.
Edmund Burke is a noted tracker, and he and his Batman often separate, not far from the main group, but they skirt ahead and they skirt off to the side and they fall back, and they're sort of in orbit around the main group as they go through, and they always have one of the local deserting soldiers with them, because there have been enough, threats in force to make them properly cautious. So during the trip toward the crash site, they encounter a spot where days ago someone laid an ambush but was in turn driven off. And after some thought, they say that clearly Mallory and one of the soldiers, probably Phillips, based on the width of the shoe, charged into the thick of a band of these reptilian people, and routed them. And they tell an exciting story, and they have some artifacts to show, some discarded bits of armor, dried blood on leaves, and discarded equipment from the reptile people. So it's quite a successful route. And so this buoys morale somewhat as they make camp on the second night.
And I'm already directed people to grab the artifacts, and excited. They're just completely, gesticulate. This is a great story, and I've already started telling one of the hapless soldiers, the one that's closest to me all the time, talking to him as if he's Percy. It's like telling him he has to remember these things. That's
And the artifacts they find are minor,
Right.
Broken ties and a small plate, or a needle from a spine from one of the spined and poisoned sections of the armor, that kind of thing.
exotic. This belongs in the museum. This is fantastic.
Exactly.
But Percy is with you, right?
Oh, Percy's back. As far as I know,
Percy's
Percy's
at the
back at the
airship.
damn
Oh,
ship.
Percy's
Yeah,
at the airship. That's right.
trying to get himself killed all the time. Actually,
That's right.
Yeah.
Lawrence is fortunate enough to be traveling with Proctor and Gamble Johnson, no relation.
Yeah.
And,
That is true.
we're good at carrying stuff. Yeah, right. Okay.
all right, so on the evening of the second night, which is coincidentally the night upon which George Mallory has definitely not come home, right? An entire day has passed now, the second night, and there's still no sign of Mallory and family. The jungle is alive with movement and with the calls of predators. But the weird fluorescent green glow on the horizon briefly flickers just after sunset, right? Noticed by one of the soldiers who's climbed high in the trees to maintain an overwatch position. And only briefly does it flare, and not for very long, but enough to be seen by those who rise to a higher elevation before it fades out.
Fantastic. We got to make better time. We got to make better time. How much longer do you think it's going to take us to Burke?
Well, if we were all healthy, I could have pushed us to be there by now, but tomorrow night, maybe the day after.
We've got to make it by tomorrow. I can make it. I'm fine.
Well, I wasn't saying that it was you. There's sore feet and there's bad shoes. There's many things which are slowing us down. It's not just, and no one's calling you the invalid. I can guarantee that that has not passed anyone's lips.
Listen, Burke, and I class them like, well, so listen, nobody's going to read in the books nobody reads about sore feet and injuries and invalids. No matter who gets there first.
This is true. And who killed what?
Exactly. You bring it back one way or the other. In a cage or mounted. You just pay less for mounted.
The ticket buyers pay less, you mean?
Exactly.
Oh, yes, I see. So for you, it's not the thrill of the chase or the thrill of the experience. It's the mercantile concern after the expedition is over.
No, not really. I mean, the money is just, that doesn't matter. What matters is that we go down in history. That 100 years from now.
With money.
No. It doesn't matter. That just makes the funders of the expedition more happy. You've got to grease the wheels wherever you go, Burke.
Good answer. Meanwhile, back at the Epiphany, the water filtration system is groaning and grinding its way to life.
It lives.
The plans were finalized. The rough structure was done the night before. Oscar's kind of in a daze of passing time. You know, it's just, he's too busy. We need more Oscars and we only have one, right? Go here, do this, nail this, screw that in, you know, no, not there, you know, kind of.
I think, didn't I pull an all-nighter on this?
Yes, you did. So now it's the next day, right?
Yeah.
And so the water filtration system was designed to deal with contaminated water, but also to desalinate salt water. So it's quite a large and complicated device with lots of copper tubes and boilers and reboilers and collectors and so there's now a large pile of wood, and people are bringing samples of water, and they're all looking pretty thirsty. Some tongue swelling and some sucking on pebbles going on, and licking leaves. Lord knows what effect that's going to have on people later.
Probably not a good idea in the Amazon, but hey.
Probably not. It doesn't sound great.
But this is how we learn that.
Yes.
This is, and then first person's up, and Oscar's like, so what do you call that, doctor?
What, the machine?
Yeah.
It's a high volume desalination and toxic remover of liquid.
The HVDTRL. That doesn't really slip off the tongue, Doc.
Well, you're the writer. You come up with something flashier.
The Winegold purifier.
Yeah.
That's what sells newspapers. Yeah.
Winegold purifier.
That sounds brilliant. Yeah.
Thanks, Anne. Anne Smith must be the only person that said that.
Yeah.
Likely. She's the smartest by far.
He's the first lucky person to try the water from the machine.
Oh.
Grover steps forward. Well, it's been far too long since there has been a good pot of tea, so I would volunteer.
Good chap.
That would be helpful to you.
Yeah.
At this time.
I'll grab the kettle that I'm sure he's got, and I load it up with a whole bunch of water from the purifier. There you go.
He scuttles off with it.
I guess we're all gonna try it.
Well, still or die, isn't it? Really.
In for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mr. Winegold, If you could,
Professor.
oh, sorry, Professor Winegold. This device was largely created through your engineering acumen, if I am correct, not
Yes.
through knowledge of chemistry.
Yeah, I very little knowledge of the chemistry.
Excellent. By very little, you mean like none?
Yeah, almost none.
Almost none. All right. Meaning you do have some chemistry.
Well, no.
No,
I have no
he's still dealing with
chemistry.
phlogiston, okay? I saw his character sheet.
Yeah, I'm jack of all trades, so I'm not.
But that's
Doesn't work
for
for that.
normal skills, not for the
Oh.
specialized.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I'm
Oh
sure the
dear.
phlogiston levels will be fine.
Well, I'm
So,
expecting.
what
I'm expecting the water to be, fine, but maybe taste a bit oily.
a special additive,
Yeah.
engine
Well,
oil. And
it's engineering. A bit metallic, maybe.
Hmm. So if you could provide for me an engineering roll, the difficulty will be 3.
Okay. So.
At stake is the health of those who consume the water.
There's no pressure here then.
Big is Grover, who has volunteered to drink it first. Cheers.
Hey, I spent eight more XP on that guy. He better live.
It's a dangerous world, my friend. It's a
Okay.
dangerous
Well,
world.
these dice can be fickle. Okay. Did you say the difficulty was 3?
I did indeed say the difficulty was 3. So start counting successes after you've removed 3 of them.
Okay. So I remove the 3 successes that I got, and I have 0 left.
Leaving you with a marginal success.
We talked about this the other day. Yeah.
Yes. Which means that
Sorry, Grover.
Grover doesn't want to serve the tea.
What's
And
wrong
he's
with the tea?
working really hard to keep his face properly servile and calm as he swallows the mouthful that he took. And he looks very forlornly at the poor tea bag, that has endured its immersion in this water. But he's not gasping or choking or anything like that. It's just a very unpleasant experience for his palate.
I go up to him, I slap him on the back and say, "Good chap. Yes. Well, this will keep us alive."
Yes, but why?
Don't get philosophical on me.
He's staring at the why? How can I live if living is without you?
Oh, keep a stiff upper lip, old chap. We'll boil some rainwater later or something like that. And person takes a slug.
Yeah.
Yeah. This will keep us
Suddenly,
alive.
all is made clear. So this is why Grover might be reluctant to.
And
to
Anne
imbibe.
asks for an extra helping of honey on the tea, if possible. Is there a bit of more honey that you might spare for this tea?
I think you better sit for
One of the
coffee.
guards from the night who is turning in for the day, having done double duty, is drifting through the camp looking at his own hand. He's having a little conversation with himself about how he never knew how his fingers could float this way.
Chewing on a bit too many leaves in the Amazon jungle. Yeah.
How much did we bring booze? Did somebody get into Jean-Claude's liquor cabinet? Professor?
Being at the brandy, I think. Although I'm guessing that maybe we would have had some pure alcohol, or part of the ship's.
It was a well-stocked expedition filled with middle and upper crust Brits. Of course, there was.
Of course, there's booze. Yes.
Plenty of gin.
But he doesn't seem drunk. He seems out of his mind. But while we consider the implications of that, we will cut deeper into the jungle. Now, face down in the ruined path, right? The swath cut by the mighty machine guns on the RGS, the Royal Geographical Society dirigible. George and Tanvir are almost completely out of touch. A curtain of darkness had descended upon them for a moment, and in that moment, they were gripped by powerful hands, and when they come to a little bit more, they know they're being carried, but they're in a deep state of semi-consciousness. And you can hear the voice of the one-eyed man who says, "Put them with the others." And someone saying, "What about the bodies?" "Fertilizer, doesn't matter." And there's a sense of motion. When they come to, it's hard to say how much time has passed. But they are in a cleared section. A lot of the shattered trees and ruins of trees have been pushed back to create a makeshift barrier. And there's a cleared section of earth directly under the dirigible, and the rope ladders and the actual ropes have all been lowered into that cleared section, and some crew are going up and down and up and down, and a cargo platform, a cargo net with a reinforced wooden bottom for more fragile or mobile cargo, such as a limp human form, is being lowered down. You can see the one-eyed man on the other side of this clearing, and you two are surrounded by liveried crew members. There are armed guards who are doing nothing but watching, right? Although no one is directly pointing a weapon at you. But one calls out, "They're awake."
Are we tied? Are hands tied, or?
You are not tied.
Oh, okay.
We're not in the same place. Like, it looked like they've taken us someplace else geographically. Is that?
And we've been deprived of our weapons, I assume, because that's.
Yes. Well, you had left your weapons behind, having disarmed yourselves, kidnapped by the reptile cult.
They took it when, yeah. That's true.
And as far as where you are now, you're now directly under their dirigible, where you had been several meters away prior to that. And then you ran several meters more trying to get to the dense tree line, and you've just been brought back. So if you've been unconscious, it's been for minutes.
Well, Tanvir, it seems we've gotten ourselves into quite the bad situation.
Speaking of bad situation, right, you have been reduced by non-lethal wounds. This is your stun.
Mm-hmm.
You have each taken 6.
Oof.
Ooh.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Okay, so
will
if we,
recover with rest.
yeah, so I'm at -1.
Oh, we've seen worse, sir. Sorry about that, old boy. We almost got away, didn't we?
Yes, but I don't really know if we can try again. There's too many people right here. And it's daylight. It's still daylight. So.
One-eyed man comes wandering over and he says, by now, I'm sure you're realizing that escape is not your best option. I'd like to invite you aboard as my, let's use the word guest. That's a nice word. Invite you aboard as my guests. I will ply you with drink and excellent food, clean you up, and then you'll have a long conversation with our expedition leader.
Well, that sounds better than our present alternatives. And if you are to be our host, may we know your name, please?
Perhaps. Load them up. If you'd prefer to climb onto the cargo net yourself, preserving the tremendous amount of dignity I've always heard that you have, that would be preferred. But we can load you if you're feeling weak.
We can. It's just a short trip, and I get up and straighten my shirt, and give Tanvir a hand, and we'll make our way to the platform as best as we can.
Don't worry about your weapons. We have secured them, and should your conversations go well, they will be returned to you. They haven't been lost in all of this mess.
Very well. Let's go, Tanvir. I believe the Comte de Rochefort has us at an advantage here, since you won't give a name. So,
witticism and an attempt to make me believe you have been reading. Excellent.
Oh, major burn.
Now, while you guys are making your way onto the platform,
got to him, didn't I?
I think you should get a style point for that.
I think so too. While you're making your way to the platform, you can see that two of the liveried crewmen have been picking their way among the dead of the reptile man. They're not disturbing the bodies or moving them, but they are searching them, right? Specifically, they're lifting up left and right arms, and then just letting them drop. So that there's either something that they're looking for that they're not finding in a very specific place, and they're going from body to body to body to body.
I'll yell out, mind the spikes, they are poisoned. I don't really want to see those people die, right? Even if they're my enemies. So.
One of the crewmen, reacts, right? Looking your way and then salutes. Well, we don't have we do have all day, but I don't feel like spending it here. So the net makes its way up into the cabin of the dirigible, right? And then you're quickly ushered out of this cargo receiving area, which is loaded with all sorts of supplies, many of which are martial, right? Heavy shells are the most obvious thing, not for artillery. Right? They move you through there into more ordinary stores, right? Flour and water and things, and then from there into the more luxurious interior of the crew quarters. The dirigible is quite large, And as you're moving down through the corridor, you can see the quadruplane that you had seen before when you passed them in your rapid journey across the ocean. It's just hanging locked in place in its frame. And you're brought to a chart room. And as you walk in, a navigator or someone of that type begins hastily rolling up a map. And I invite you to perceive. And this can be assisted by survival if you should have it.
Ooh. Yes, indeed.
You're -1?
Oh, -1 for the, yes.
Yeah. The
No,
after
good.
effects of the shot.
Here we go.
2?
That is actually 5 successes on 7 dice. So we're off to a good start.
Well, yeah, actually, there's a deuce on 2 dice, so not bad, considering.
Not bad.
Inconceivable. Right. So you have seen their course and where it deviates, specifically where it deviates from the Amazon. And because of the survival assistance, there is a geographical feature on the map which had been not terribly relevant, but which is now suddenly relevant in that perhaps this is a mountain elevated region. Perhaps if these mountains have the right shape to them, they might pass as one of these teeth references that St. John Smythe had been making, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the navigator rolls up the map quickly, you know, and it was being held down by sextants and tankards and ink pots and some of this, you know, spills on the lighted map table. It's lit from below. And standing before you is someone you recognize from the Royal Geographical Society, right? And being famous in his own right, but also of high standing in the society. And we'll refer to him as Captain Cartwright. It would be unthinkable to refer to him by his first name, right? So, or just as Captain. And he's wearing a unique uniform, much as everyone else is, right? They're wearing the livery of this vessel, right? And he's decorated with all sorts of achievements. And like I say, his fame precedes him as being the first to take out new aerial vessels and the first to support heavier than aircraft and the like. And one of the many people who have spoken out against Challenger's claims that there could be such a lost world environment in any of the continents so far settled by humanity. If there is an airspace over which, you know, such a place could be seen, it is not on this world, sir, you know, kind of attitude. And so he greets you. He goes, Mallory.
Captain Cartwright. Can't say that it is a completely unexpected surprise to see you in command of a worthy expedition such as this. I wish we could have met under less contentious circumstances, but I am grateful.
As do I. I had wanted you to be a member of my crew, but all of my letters were returned.
I do apologize for that, but as you are quite well aware.
You sent them back to me?
We did let the mail pile up a little bit, sir. Sorry about that. I probably some more of the
it's-
letters, but didn't seem very important at the time. There were so
It-
many of them.
it seems we may have overlooked your letters, sir. We'd managed to procure unconventional means of transportation at the time, and as you are no doubt quite well aware, so I'm afraid we may have been remiss in our manners at replying to you promptly.
These are minor sins which can be forgiven if you are forthcoming with me now. But first, that ship, that ridiculous ship, how quickly did it get you here before it crashed on you and stranded you? How fast? Be honest.
I give him an honest assessment of our speed. Tell him that
George remembers, even if
yeah, if I don't exactly
for us to remember.
the exact number of days, but yeah, I will.
Like 10 days or 2 weeks or a week. Fast.
And plus, I want it to be like on the record, right? So they know. So if they try to lie about it later, they'll.
Amazing. But in the end, Neslinger's inventions could not be trusted. In the end, it crashed on you.
Oh, well, not exactly.
Yes, that is not exactly what happened, but
Do we want him
well,
to know the truth?
you want the truth, so I suppose I might as well warn you right now. It seems to be a danger to travel by air too close to this region. There is a large.
He holds up his hand, signaling silence. Says, perhaps we should better carry out this conversation in my quarters. He snaps out an order.
Yeah. And so, but before we leave, I turn back and I say, Captain, I forgot to thank your man for the timely rescue. It seems we were compromised in a somewhat disadvantageous position, but I'm trying to do that so as to, not speak directly to Rochefort behind me, right? It's sort of like a slight,
Rochefort.
right? It's like thanking him that, his boy was available to help
Nice.
us, right? That's
Nice.
my,
I think that firmly falls into diplomacy.
yes.
Now you can, because of how this interview has gone forward, you can use your Geographic Society rank
Yes.
in this situation.
And is this affected by my stun? It is, right? Because I'm a little bit
Yeah.
adult-brained, I suppose. So it is diplomacy of 3. My social bonus should be 2, so I'll just add 1 die because of the penalty of 1. And let's see if I can deliver this.
Don't
back.
forget your fame. Don't forget your fame.
Ooh,
Fame.
I am famous, yes. I'm more than famous.
You want to
2, 3 successes. It's pretty good.
All right.
It's a backhanded sort of compliment at the one-eyed man.
Yes, well, without talent, there is always dumb luck. And the beneficence of others, Cartwright manages thin-lipped, but everybody around the control room is trying not to smile. Like right.
Nice.
There's bottomless respect for Cartwright. There is now obviously hatred for the one-eyed man.
Yes.
Still respect, but respect plus hatred, where Cartwright has respect plus love and admiration and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And so, having issued orders, you are provided with not livery, but clean clothes and an opportunity to wash, and then you're brought to the captain's quarters, where hot tea and brandy and the like have been made available. But we return to the Epiphany. Oh, sorry, Professor Winegold.
Yes. 'Tis I.
Could I have from you a resilience roll? This is your body doubled.
Right.
Now, if, and I don't think that you do, have athletics which exceeds this number,
I do not.
it would replace it in this case, but no. All right, so you are at the very raggedy edge of exhaustion. Remember, you've been in combat, you've taken injury, just a little while ago, you stayed up all night, so you're at the very edge. I need a resilience roll from you against a difficulty of 2.
Okay. 1 success on 4 dice. So
How I feel this morning.
so that's not good. I have a feeling that that my bunk is calling for me.
I think so. Right. For every 2 that you roll, you'd resist another non-lethal wound. So you've taken another non-lethal wound from the fatigue. So turning in might be a good idea.
Grover, I'm beat. I've got to get some sleep.
Right, sir.
I
wouldn't suggest any tea, though. Perhaps a brandy?
And
Yes,
help you sleep as well. Yes.
that would be fine. Yes. I take a gulp of brandy and slink off to my cabin.
All right, your cockeyed cabin,
I just don't care.
Surrounded by
Grover just takes a snifter back.
Plans and things, but all right, so he slips off to a much needed and well-deserved rest. Now, Professor Winegold, in the depths of your exhausted sleep, I please have a perception check.
Okay. That was 4 successes on 6 dice.
Nicely done. And so, that moment of disconnection when you're suddenly fully awake from a very, very deep and uncomfortable sleep, especially in a hot and kind of humid environment.
Yeah.
So this is how Professor Winegold finds himself in this moment, disoriented and uncertain in a very dark space. But notes that his breathing is not the only breathing that he can hear in the darkness of his statement.
Oh. Okay. I grab anything that might be a weapon.
Well, it's your room. What do you think would be there? A howitzer or a nuke?
No, I reckon a spanner.
A spanner, right? Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So you grab the spanner.
Yeah. And the room's dark, is it?
Yeah, sure. It was for sleeping.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You got your porthole outside, but it's dark outside. There's the heavy canopy of trees.
And I grab the spanner. I swing myself off of the bed bunk, and I'll sort of brandish the spanner, and I'll shout out, "Who's there? Show yourself!"
There is a humanoid shape sitting in the desk chair on the other side of the room, just very quietly, and that is the source of the breathing. You can hear it as if it were inside something hard, and the breath is whistling out between hard pieces of material, not unlike a helmet or mask.
Okay. I'm guessing that I can just throw a switch to light the cabin. This is going to be electric.
In the old days, you could, before you cannibalized the electrics. Now you'll need to light the kerosene lamps.
Okay. I'll try and light a lamp.
Okay. So, it's a simple procedure, lifting the glass.
Yeah.
And as light fills the room, warm, lantern light fills the room, you see that indeed there is a small armored figure sitting in your chair. They're sitting close to the edge, so their feet can be firmly planted on the sloping deck. But if they were all the way back, then their feet wouldn't reach the floor, right?
Right.
Just remember, they're not much bigger than young children, but wiry and strong nonetheless. Fully as strong as you lot.
Right. Okay.
You can see the glittering eyes through in the deep shadows of the mask as the flame
Why
takes hold.
Is it a different type of mask, or is it like the
Same.
Okay.
So why haven't I been attacked? Okay. And not changing, just sitting there. Oh, okay. I kind of sit back on the bunk and just kind of say, why are you here? I haven't let go of the spanner.
At that, the figure rises carefully, quietly, non-threateningly, hands out wide, right? It might be more natural in our culture to put them up in front, right? This person is putting them out to the side, as far away from their body and whatnot as possible, around shoulder height. And then makes its way over to the desk. It's still not certain because of the shape of the armor, if this is a man, if this is a woman.
Right.
And they take a scrap of paper that you've been using for plans, and they take, a writing tool, right? And they begin to very quickly sketch. And what they're sketching is instantly obvious that they're sketching the large winged dinosaur that attacked the Epiphany.
Okay. I'll go up to the desk and see what the drawing is, and I'll say, where is this? Where is this creature?
And the figure, and now that you're close, you can see that it is a man, maybe in middle age, right? The hair, curling out from under the edge of the helm is flecked with some, salt and pepper, gray hairs. Takes his hand and he presses it down onto the drawing, right? And puts his hand carefully, cautiously, kindly out toward Professor Winegold's chest, right? In a warding off gesture, making a sound not unlike a neigh sound, like neigh, neigh, right? Neigh, neigh.
So he's
hands are moving from side to side, and the head is moving in a diagonal motion.
So he's warning us away.
So it feels like.
Why don't you want us to find this creature?
There's a rattle in the throat, like a very tight sigh or a frustrated sound, right? the paper's flipped over, and a pretty dramatically accurate sketch of the dirigible you saw crossing the Atlantic appears.
Oh, okay. So it's just the Royal Geographic Society dirigible.
And then underneath it, he draws human skulls.
Okay.
And then begins to write in that pictographic language, right? The frustration getting the better of him, you know, or you're speaking in your foreign language, you're trying to communicate in your foreign language, and then the frustration builds to the point where you just start loudly speaking to the other person in your native language for, you know, defying all reason. He's reached that point, and he's writing it out.
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess he's warning us that we're all going to die. That seems to be the message that I'm getting from this. So,
Right. Would you like to try and deepen your relationship with some empathic communication? Or maybe that would be tragically a mistake in Professor Winegold's case.
I can't remember if we tried to understand the language before. I can't.
Yes, efforts were made. You didn't have much time, right?
Yeah.
But without a linguist, very little progress was made in that regard.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll try and understand them a little more, and I'll ask them where their home is. I draw like a campfire or something on the paper and say, where do you live?
He flips it back to the flying dinosaur, again places his hand on it, again reaches out toward Winegold's chest, and again makes this negating gestures. And then looks at the window and begins to move toward it as if to leave.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what else to say to him. I mean, I'm guessing they're trying to tell us to leave or go, or he's warning us away from this. I'll try and I'll say, what's the green light in the distance, and mention that to him as he sort of heads towards the window. It was a green glow, wasn't it?
He doesn't understand you any more than you understand him.
Yeah.
Walls fell.
Situation is so tense that I can hear the water purifier,
I know.
also known as Ivan's fish tank. But hey.
It's very immersive for me. I'm loving it.
Yeah, it's spot on. Okay.
All kinds of
Darmak.
running out of the Epiphany through the crash site.
In the meantime, the two of you are in the stateroom. Darmak and Jalad at Tanagra.
I was waiting for that to creep
I'm
up.
sorry.
All right. Meanwhile, back in the jungle, Lawrence Garibaldi and Edmund Burke and crew. How likely are you to have pushed on through the night there, Thrill Seeker?
No, but I think tomorrow we're going to go the whole way.
Okay, so you rested.
Yeah,
so
we're
you
going to
didn't do further damage to yourself. All right, that's just fine. Okay, so in the progress toward the wreckage, a loud noise, right? This is obviously a motor from above. Sends everybody scrambling and looking up and a four-winged, heavier than aircraft, rockets by overhead at one point in the late morning, like it's headed somewhere.
I can hear it.
Oh my God, this game is so intense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boys.
I mean, this is top notch sound effects as well.
You see that bird? I knew I should have cut that thing off the damn bridge, but George does. And no, that's not sporting like. Don't do that. No. The real English gentleman wouldn't do that.
It really wouldn't have been.
No, it wouldn't have been. But now it puts us at a tremendous disadvantage. We've got to press on button. I wonder what they haven't found anything. Where would they need that separate from the dirigible? Why would they need a separate ship?
Well, it's very difficult to see from one.
Oh, so you think they're doing reconnaissance? That makes sense. But they wouldn't be looking for us, would they? No, of course not.
Well, even if they wouldn't be able to see us, and even if they did find us, that thing can't land anywhere.
Oh dear, I wonder if they can land at the sea.
It must be going somewhere like back to Balian.
That direction it was going? The hell, which direction is Balian?
This is your first jungle exploration, is it, Mr. Garibaldi?
Yes, but it won't be my last.
Okay, well then, so to ensure that it's not your last, and he takes, puts his arm in a friendly, he starts explaining the mechanics of the sun rises.
Damn it, man, I know where the sun is. I just can't remember where that damn town is. I was pushing towards this way. Never mind. Let me grab my machete. Let's keep going.
Okay.
This is pointless. It's pointless.
Back on the airship, the Royal Geographic Society airship, right? Which coincidentally is called the Ares. Right? Not exactly the most peaceful of appellations in the captain's quarters. Right. All right, Mallory. You say that Neslinger's ship didn't fall out of the sky of its own accord. Was it Winegold? Did Winegold crash it then?
Don't blame me.
No, because you were the pilot, but no. I'm afraid it's not really an engineering fault nor a operator related issue, but rather something that threatens this very vessel. We were assaulted, believe it or not, by a large dinosaur flying through the air. A pteranodon, I believe Professor Winegold called it.
Well, he's not a paleontologist. He could call it the rooster for all anyone knows or cares.
It almost ate George.
Are you certain it was a prehistoric creature?
Rather consider that than a dragon, which is possibly the other descriptor which might be applied to such a beast. It did indeed fly through the air and was as large as our airship, though it did not breathe fire for certain.
That's impossible. The Epiphany was almost 100 feet in length.
Were you able to get some? Well, I suppose it would be difficult to survey the crash site unless you've flown over it. But in case you do, or you send your plane scouting, you might notice the train of wreckage leading from the beach where we made landfall, so to speak, until the actual crash site. There should be a steady rain of rubble from the heavy damage sustained during the assault by the beast. Many of the Queen's men were slain on the shores.
Yes, we got a cable about about that. And, but we managed to suppress any reference to a creature. And as we speak, I'm sorry to say this, Mallory, but news stories are being circulated about certain members of this expedition being overly dependent on the bottle.
Is that right? Well,
it's quite easy to paint Garibaldi as a notorious lush. Where is he, by the way?
Mr. Garibaldi sustained quite a few injuries while valiantly keeping the Epiphany afloat. So he was transported to Belém for long-term medical care. He had behaved quite honorably, and no, I am afraid I must challenge the claims that he is partial to drink, as he did not demonstrate such behavior on our voyage.
Oh, I understand. I'm just explaining to you the tactics that are being employed to prevent the story from getting out. This is the desperation to keep this story quiet. But Winegold, is he all right as well?
Yes, Professor Winegold survived the crash, as did a portion of our crew, and yes, we are concerned with maintaining ourselves alive and keeping campsite going. But again, I must impress upon you the danger presented by trying to approach, to voyage further into the jungle on an airship. You might find yourself accosted by this large creature. Have you by chance noted the preternatural glow emanating from the jungle at night?
Yes. It and its coordinates have been marked, and they coincide with our plans. We have come prepared, Mallory, and now I must impress upon you and your ally, Tanvir Singh. I would much rather have you be an active participant in my expedition than as a discredited prisoner. And I would prefer not to ruin any member of the society's reputation. I think that is the stratagem of a fearful man.
That is quite a generous offer, and
I believe you were most interested in arriving first. You have. You are interested in doing exploration with this wonderful new technology, but that technology has failed you because its creator is unsafe. And if you were to complete your voyage with me, then your star would rise with my own, as we do not discover a lost plateau, but instead discover riches of another sort. For our intelligence makes us aware that there are plentiful silver mines in the region, which we will discover.
So now it's becoming clearer. This, I must confess, I was quite uncertain of why the secrecy surrounding this exploration. I would have thought that a sporting contest, two rival expeditions locked in a race to be the first would have been, of great benefit to the to everyone, frankly. This would drum excitement in the papers, and would only have resulted in benefit and fame for the society as a whole.
Unless you came back with these wild stories in support of challengers' ludicrous ideas.
Why does that present such a danger? Would that not be a great scientific discovery of import to our civilization?
You have the reptile cult, have you not?
We have, yes.
I cannot tell you more, for I have promised my own secrecy, Mallory, but if you should learn of it by being a part of this mission, then we will be sworn in secrecy as brothers together in the society. We can talk about it till the end of our days, just not with the public. But they pose a threat, Mallory. They must be left alone.
But
meanwhile, back at the Epiphany, dawn comes. Too early for Professor Winegold, the exhausted man and hero of the day for this weird science. Triumphs, 2 of them in such a short span of time. You can hear the water pumping furiously, and terrible meals are being made with its safe but unsavory blessing. And then, distantly, you hear shouts from the tree line and a few quick cracks of rifle shots and calls from the tree line to surrender as a crack squad of liveried troops burst from the tree line and quickly begin to rout the exhausted sentries who have been doing far too much double duty over the last week, as your forces have been split between here and Balian. And you can hear them calling from down below, "Where's Professor Winegold?"
I'll step out of the ship. Who calls? What's this
One of them
about?
goes, "Is that him? Is that him?" Yes, yes, it looks like him, although he's... Good God, man, you're a mess.
Well,
the lieutenant of this particular squad comes forward and says, "Professor Winegold,
yes.
it's the honor of your presence has been requested by Captain Cartwright at the Royal Geographic Society campsite. If you would accompany me, it would be appreciated. Your men will be cared for and fed. They will not be allowed to leave the area, but I believe they'll be better cared for than they're taking care of themselves."
Do I have a choice in this?
You could refuse and be taken prisoner.
Well, I might as well come along and see what Captain who?
Cartwright, sir.
See this Captain Cartwright.
I am delighted that you have agreed to come peacefully. Are you hungry? Would you like, a picnic basket is brought forward. There's chilled champagne and there's some strawberries and other delightful things.
Perhaps you'd like to have a cup of tea with me, Grover.
It's chilled champagne with no sign of ice in the picnic packet. It's just cold in the picnic packet.
Well, I was just thinking he might appreciate our tea.
Oh,
I
Here,
would love a cup of tea.
oh no, sir.
Grover, please fetch us a fresh cup.
Is obsequious. So will he earn a style point by warning the enemy, or will he keep it to himself?
Grover probably looks at the tray when tea is mentioned. It's
Yeah.
like,
I don't suppose. I'd be delighted.
Grover.
I lean over to the. You don't have any water, do you, by any chance? Some of the
Grover.
water supply.
Grover, fetch some water from the Epiphany. Make some tea.
1 style point for Grover.
And just with a look of complete defeat and just, look of a man that has no idea, like, no matter which way he turns, death is coming. He just walks up.
Right.
As if he's about to cry at any moment.
And so the crack troops, the rested, well-equipped troops move through the area, and they gather up everybody and begin to take over the campsite. And then when everything is prepared, they guide Professor Winegold out of the area toward his destiny with Captain Cartwright. And
What
so,
about the rest of the people? Are they offering people like Percy or oh dear, Anne Smith and all the other folks, or are they just taking the esteemed professor?
So later that day, when Lawrence and Edmund Burke arrive at the campsite, they find that there is a perimeter of strangers, guards, wearing this distinctive livery that Burke, of course, recognizes as the private and personal crew of Captain Cartwright.
Damn it.
And he can hear the voice of Anne Smith haranguing the guards with a long list of well thought out and logically organized points as to why what they're doing is incorrect, while Percy speaks eloquently about people who are on the wrong side of history. And you will have time to think of how you approach the camp, if you approach the camp, during our hiatus between this session and the next. But in Berlin, as St. John Smythe is settling down in his warm and comfortable down and feather bed, he looks once out the window and says, "The glow is green." And so ends tonight's session of
The
The
sky, no limits.
Excellent.
Unfortunately, because of life and other things, we have to end this session
Early. Yeah.
But I hope that was just enough taste of adventure to keep you going for an amount
Yeah, really good.
of time.
Really
For
good.
bookkeeping purposes, because I will forget 2 weeks from now, would that, having spent the night, would that count for recuperation of 1 non-lethal wound point, or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody except Garibaldi and Oscar can heal 1 of their non-lethal wounds.
Damn it. Why did I get woken up in the middle of the night? So annoying.
Yeah, life is hard.
Do we get any experience from this?
Experience. Yes, of course you do. You showed up like troopers for more pulp heroic abuse, and so you obtain 1 experience point for that. There was no peril, sadly. I'm sorry.
That's
Not to
true.
provide you
Well,
with
we
peril.
drank the water.
Yeah.
Other than that, was about it.
There was no peril.
Okay.
There could have been peril had that roll gone differently.
Yeah.
Wisdom. Have you made any conclusions or deductions that improve your position?
Yes, I think we now know the secret of the silver mines.
Yes.
And so now we understand a little bit and there's a connection between the reptile cult and the Royal Geographical Society. So, they wish to keep that secret but yet they don't seem well informed about the perils of the pteranodon. So that's, but at least I think we've made some, at least we know why they're being so secretive and why they're, trying to shoot us down and whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah. I suspect they might know, and they're just brought enough firepower to see if they can just kind of destroy it.
That might be it. Yeah, that's what the machine guns are for, yeah.
And we definitely realized that, at least Tim here has realized that this Captain Cartwright is the kind of man that Charles Dickens wrote novels about. Everything that's wrong with British society. Everything that's wrong with British society. Money grubber.
And everyone gets a role-playing point. I particularly enjoyed the insistence on serving tea in good British fashion there at the end, and I loved the witty banter in the control room with Rochefort. And I can't hold it any longer. I can't hang on to the man's name any longer because his name actually is Rochefort.
Awesome.
Even better.
So that was a tremendous joy for me.
Nice.
As Nick Nolte said in 48 Hours, could call me Jack. It happens to be my name.
That's true. That's true.
So did we actually learn a point for learning something, or are we?
Yes.
Yeah.
We did. Okay.
So it's three experience points.
Yeah.
So please make a note where it cannot be lost about the map details that George and Tanvir were able to spot. Because somewhere in the future, maybe, unless of course you all perish, that may become relevant and useful and helpful and all that stuff.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
Well, thank you very much to Anthony and Ivan and Eli for joining me today, and we had a real blast with that session. Sorry it's a bit short, but
Isn't it?
We do
Isn't it
have
Eli's birthday.
We do have life.
Yes, it is.
It is your birthday, isn't it? Yes. Happy birthday to Eli, and giving up his morning. You can go and open your presents now. We'll see you on the next session, hopefully next weekend. Thank you very much.